Well, Mark, we want to introduce the people to our latest Tecomate Signature Property project, and it is Highveld Ranch in the Western Hill Country, Texas. We're about 30 miles, air miles west of Kerrville, and we're on the high plateau called the Divide, and this is 4,365 acres of absolute beautiful countryside, loaded with game.
Absolutely, and when you say loaded with game, we have everything.
We do.
We're Tecomate Properties. We're all about whitetail deer,
yes, we are.
And that was the main reason buying here.
Yeah.
But it's got all kinds of exotics on it as well.
We have done extensive camera surveys, extensive.
Yes.
And focusing primarily on the whitetails, because once again, that's our biggest interest, is the whitetails.
That's right.
And so one of the things that we wanted to do is kind of get a census of what was on here. So we depend on those Recon X cameras.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how many we've got out, 15, 18, whatever it is.
At one time, 25.
25 cameras. And you've been running those since mid-August.
That's right, that's right.
And so we over time began to get a handle on what was here in terms of whitetails. Not an absolute number, but we saw a good cross-section of the population. But what blew my mind, you called me and says, I'm up to 125 bucks.
Right.
And then you called back and said, I'm up to 150. And I'm saying, holy smokes, do the math on this. Then you called back and said, I'm over 200 and I've lost count. It's a lot. It's over 200. The biggest surprise we've had on this ranch is the size of the whitetails.
Sure.
The overall quality.
No doubt.
There's some good whitetails here. In fact, and I say this not even believing I can say it myself, but there's a couple of bucks on this place that are record class bucks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We know that we have 3 that's over 170.
And a couple of them way over 170.
And I even hate to say the numbers, a couple knocking on 200 in.
It's unbelievable.
And that's hill country of Texas.
It's
it's hard to even fathom that.
It's unbelievable.
You know, as I'm managing this property and getting all these deer pictures and applying all this data to our population models and, how many does we need to take, how many bucks we need to take, and doing all that geeky biology stuff, the redneck in me is thinking, how am I gonna kill this big deer? This one particular deer is definitely old enough to shoot. The other big deer is not. We're actually gonna pass him, and he's a mega giant as well. He's only 5.5, and we believe the other big mega giant is at least 6, probably 7 or 8, and that's the one that we're gonna go after. And it was funny, Dave and I was talking there at the table. It's like, all right, he's up for grabs and first come, first serve. So I'm thinking, all right, he's gonna hunt with a rifle, I'm gonna hunt with a bow. Maybe I can kill him before he does. So I'm mapping strategy and figuring out exactly where he's gonna be, and hopefully I can get a good shot on him. One thing's for sure on hunting any kind of property is having good intel, and that's what these cameras do. You can't have enough cameras, and you can't have enough intel where deer are and how big they are, where they're at. So we have one blind that's right here behind us, and this is one of these areas that we've been seeing a lot of deer. Looks like all of the acorns have fallen off some of these trees, but these things were filled not too long ago. There's still some up there. So I'm gonna set this camera up in this little live oak grove, and we've been seeing a lot of deer here when we drive through, so we're gonna see if we can get some intel. But putting Recon X cameras out is just an important thing to do on the ranch. So I have this awesome opportunity to hunt a buck of a lifetime. This is a giant deer that I have tons of pictures of, and I get a chance to bow hunt this deer before rifle season gets started, before everybody else hunts, before this deer goes into full rut, and who knows where he's gonna go. So I am super stoked to get to hunt this deer. So I went out and bought the best crossbow that was on the market, and that's this Raven crossbow. This thing is super fast, super accurate, and I'm super excited to get out and get this thing sighted in and get this thing set up. I put a Leupold rifle scope on it, and with this mounting bracket that you can move the yardages up and down. As fast as this thing shoots, I'm probably gonna start off at 25 yards and then try to shoot it out to at least 50 yards. Probably not gonna shoot further than that. I know these crossbows can shoot, 80, 90, 100 yards now, but I'm gonna try to get this thing set up to about 50 yards, so we'll be ready to go when I go back to Highveld. So archery season finally gets here, and man, I'm super stoked to go after this buck. And man, just the stars aligned a little bit. One of my cameramen was in the area. We go straight to the blind. Man, I'm so pumped up, so excited to finally get to hunt this big buck that I've been getting all these pictures of. And I've never even laid eyes on him riding around or anything. So just the chances of seeing him in person was excited for me, much less to get a chance to shoot him. So as we're sitting in that blind, just all pumped up and stoked and excited, and we see lots of deer, and one of the deer that shows up was this other mega giant, this big 5.5-year-old buck we call Mike Drop. He actually had a 8-inch drop tine at one point, and he broke that off, but he shows up, and a lot of times those bucks kind of traveled together, or you would get multiple pictures of them together. So I'm thinking, okay, if this big deer's here, hopefully the other one will show up as well. But that afternoon, as the afternoon went on, the big buck didn't show up, but it was a really cool encounter with this future mega giant of Highveld.
Just a giant deer, but he's only a 5.5-year-old. So we want to get him to 6 and give him another year to pass some of those good genetics on. But hopefully Forks will show up, the older one.
So the next morning we had a lot of work to do, so we weren't able to hunt. But however, the afternoon opened up again where I could get back in the woods. So we went back to that same blind again where we've gotten a lot of pictures of him and where we saw that really big deer.
Our entire group is left and it's just me and Rhett. So we're going out to try to shoot a really, really big buck with a crossbow today. There's a lot of nice bucks here. One huge non-typical that's not quite big enough to shoot, or not, he's plenty big enough. Let me rephrase. He's not old enough to shoot, but then there's one really, really nice buck who is 6 or 7 years old, who we're definitely after. It's a buck we call Forks, but he's been pretty nomadic. He's not a regular deer by no means, but this is an area where he definitely lives. It's kind of his core area. Hopefully he'll show this evening.
I know this big one's here. He's in this area. We got pictures of him. This is his core area, so hopefully this afternoon will be the afternoon he shows up.
As the afternoon progressed, we saw some deer, saw some small bucks, and we repositioned in the blind a little bit and looked behind us through this one window, and there stood my buck at only 20 or so yards, and he saw me moving in the blind, and then he runs off and then circles in front of us, well out of bow range, and just teased us a good bit.
That's a big of a whitetail right there. Well, we had the buck I was looking for. He come out plenty close to shoot, 20 yards, 25 yards, something like that. But instead of coming from right to left, he come from left to right, and my wind's blowing that way. And I can't believe he would even came. But he did. And he got right here. I just knew he was finna walk right in front of the blind because he had done got past us. And just all of a sudden he turns, he runs away. He runs out there behind us for a little ways. The other little bucks went out there towards him and just walked straight away from us down the road, cut across the field, 150 yards. That was it.
But it was really cool to be able to see this buck. It was heartbreaking because he was there and finna come in and he just caught me moving. But it was really cool seeing this buck for the first time with my own eyes and looking at him through the binoculars, and I'm like, all right, he's here. Hopefully at some point during this hunt, we'll be able to get a shot at him. So there's been so much going on here at the ranch. We have so much work to do, still putting in roads, working on lots of different aspects of the ranch, and just hadn't had time to hunt. And so finally, it gets to about the 1st of November now. It's still before rifle season, and I get an opportunity to get back. I got a cameraman in town again for a few days, and man, we're gonna make every moment count trying to go after this big deer. Finally getting some of these projects to an ending point where I could emphasize on hunting again. It's been driving me nuts doing all this work, knowing this big buck's here and not being able to hunt him. But when the time came to hunt, it was game on to get after this big deer.
When it was raining the other day, when we put these cell cameras out, sometime when the rain stopped at about 1:30, our target buck showed up right here in this particular spot yesterday, and he hung out a little bit kind of in between the rains. So we know where he's at least, and that's the biggest thing in hunting. And we put out those cell cameras to try to figure out where he was at, even if he was here. And then luckily we got a picture of him at about 1:30 yesterday afternoon. So hopefully the wind is perfect. We have a northeast wind, which is a perfect wind direction for this spot. So hopefully he'll come back this evening and we can get a shot. Wish us some luck.
We get to the blind and was feeling a little more confident because it's just been so rainy and dreary. It seems like most of the day it's been sprinkling or mist and rain, very, very cloudy and overcast. As the afternoon progressed, it started to break up a little bit. The wind started dying down. I'm thinking, this is gonna be a good afternoon. And I had high hopes that Forks was gonna show up. So we get in the blind a little bit earlier this time, and we get set up, and it wasn't long. We start seeing some deer. We see a couple small bucks, and out in front of us at about 200 yards, we see a doe coming down the hill, coming across the valley, and there was a big buck behind her. And guess what? It's Forks. Trying to be as patient and as still as I possibly could. Got lots of eyes looking at me now. There's other deer there, and my heart is just going through my chest. I'm like, come on, buck, come where that doe is. And he hangs up just out of sight, right on the edge of my shooting window. The doe was right there. I'm like, okay, buck, come where the doe is. And he stood there, which seemed like for hours. I know it was only minutes. So finally the doe makes a move, and sure enough, here comes Forks right in behind her. I get the crossbow up, knock the safety off.
Going down. He's down right there. Down. Oh my, yes! The biggest buck I've ever shot is laying hammer dead right there. Oh my gosh. Yes! Thank you, Lord. Oh, thank you, Lord. This is my biggest buck by far, leagues beyond, bigger than anything I've ever shot. And he's laying right there. Oh my gosh. Man, I gotta go put my hands on him. I gotta go look at him. Come on, let's go check him out. I can't talk anymore. I gotta put my hands on him.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. And nothing's broke. Nothing is broke. Look at this deer. Man, I was hoping he would break something off when he fell right here. Oh my gosh. I'm speechless. Look at the mass right there. Oh my goodness. Jeez. Highveld Ranch, hill country of Texas. Hunting near Kerrville. And this is a buck that I call forks. You can see these big primary muley forks that he's got on both sides. How this deer got this big is absolutely amazing, and we're just astonished to have the quality of deer that are here. It's by far my biggest buck by a long shot. But this is the buck, the one buck that I wanted to shoot on the place. Oh my goodness. Well, this is what we do, Tecomate Properties. We try to purchase a property and fix it up the very best as we possibly can. Try to raise the nutrition levels, raise the herd quality. We do a lot of work on the roads, and we're remodeling the lodge. There's just a lot of stuff that we're doing here on this property to basically make it as good as it can be, you know. But to have a property with already good genetics, and who knows how many is going to be here, that's what's amazing. Highveld Ranch, hill country of Texas. Fantastic piece of property that I've just absolutely fell in love with. And I'm loving it even more now than ever. Oh my gosh, what a giant.
Look, that's 5 and...
It's 5, 6.
Yep.
So
There you go.
that son of a gun.
208.
You're kidding me. 200
200 inches.
Oh, Lee Mark.